Okay, so it is Thursday, June 22nd, 2017. Why am I making a big deal about this date? Well, a couple of reasons, but the primary reason is this is the very first interview I'm going to be doing. By now, you guys know we have the blog, and a big part of the blog is telling the stories of others, whether it's triumph, adversity, overcoming obstacles, getting on the box. And again, that term, you should know what that's all about as well by my first blog post on ketodelgado.com. But anyway, so tonight, what I'm doing is I'm interviewing a former college colleague of mine, friend. His name is Jason Panda. He has a great story to tell. I don't want to give it too much away, but all you gotta know is that he grew up in a really tough neighborhood where the odds of him growing up to be the man that he is today are very slim. He was a very successful attorney, and then at some point in time, which again we'll get more into in the interview, he decided that wasn't his life's purpose, and he got on the box and he pursued another career choice. So I'm really looking forward to catching up with Jason. I haven't talked to him in a while, but you know how it is on Facebook and Instagram. You can communicate that way. But it's really going to be fun being able to talk to him. And what I wanted to do, not only am I going to be telling his story, but a big part of this is me telling you my story, because this is all brand new to me, right? Never done an interview before. Obviously, being a sales manager, I've interviewed, candidates for a job, and I've been interviewed to try to secure a job. But as far as, asking questions, the who, what, where, what, why, to somebody, trying to tell someone's story, I'm going to have that conveyed to an audience. Never done that before, so that's all brand new to me. And I'm super excited. I watched YouTube channels, how to conduct the interview, what questions to ask, how to set up the camera, the whole 9 yards. And just so you know, this is a Thursday. Right now I'm taping this at 7 o'clock, right? I'm married. I got a 3.5-year-old daughter. I have a dog. So listen, this is uncut. So if you hear, noise in the background, it's all good. We're just gonna push right on through it. I did order one of those lapel mics. I was hoping it would be in by now, but it's not gonna come till tomorrow. And I don't want to delay, doing this with Jason, because I do appreciate his time. So with that, I'm gonna review some of my notes, so I am prepared. It's, like I said, about 7 o'clock now, so I have a half hour. We're gonna Skype in, and I chose to do Skype because then I can set up my phone to record it. And we'll see how it goes. But wish me luck. I really look forward to doing this. And again, June 22nd, 2017. Hope you guys enjoy the finished product. No? Can you see me?
Hold on. I know this can't be, hold on, no camera phone. Hold on, why is there no camera phone on mine? Let me do this. It's something with my computer, because it's not catching my camera.
But listen.
Let me start back over my computer, because I realize this is now me.
It's up to you, my man. But listen, I can hear you fine. I mean, you want to, I like looking. I like looking at your face, but I don't have to see it too. But no, let's just make it work. Because
either way, what way do you get? Let me do this, right?
Let's try it. Let's do it the right way, because I am recording this, so we're documenting history right now. So I'd rather get your mug on the camera if we can.
All right, so cool. So let's talk then. Is it coming through clear?
You're coming through fine. I'm just saying your voice is, I can't see you, but you're coming through. Like, I can hear you just fine.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, so let's talk then.
All right, cool. Well, man, first of all, I just want to say what's up. It's been, I don't know, when was the last time we talked?
It's got to be going on almost like 20 years.
20? Come on, dog. 20? No.
I think there was one time when I lived in D.C. and I think you all came down and see Colin.
Yep, when Colin was in D.C. Yep, we hung out that time.
Colin was in D.C.
Yeah, but then there's another time when trying to think, was it? It may have been. I can't remember if it was before or after, but when Dennis had, it was me, you, Dennis, his brother David, Colin. I think even we were playing ball.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. I remember that too.
But it's been a long time, my man. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a minute though. Like, how long have you been back in the Schenectady area?
So Rachel and I, we got married. It'll be 8 years in July, and we were living.
Congrats.
Thanks, my man. We were living in New Jersey, and I want to say we moved back to Schenectady. Rachel, how long have we been back? Rachel will tell. Yeah, 2010. So 2010, we've been back. So.
Now, was she from Schenectady as well?
Yeah, we're both from the area, Niskuna. So.
Got it.
She went to Seton Hall. I went to, obviously BU, then Northeastern. And then when I got ready to, I ended up leaving Boston to go to New Jersey. That's when we got engaged. And then after we got married, now it's like, I'm fast forwarding, but like 3-4 years I lived in New Jersey. And then once we got married, we moved back to Schenectady, where we're both from.
Got it.
Yeah, man.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, but listen, man, this is about you, right? We're all, this is, I did a little quick video before. I did like a video before.
Want me to do like a little historical rundown?
Yeah.
Because I think that, and I think it may be easier for you to kind of pull the questions out of there.
Absolutely, yeah. You've probably been interviewed before, so you kind of know how this works. But like I was telling, because I'm trying to document all this so I can kind of look back on it and and reflect, depending on where all this goes. And but I do know that when in doing my research, they always say, hey, ask a very easy question to get the subject comfortable. So I know that much. But all kidding aside, so really the first question is like, I think a good way of doing it is, tell me about. I mean, I know, but for the audience's sake and stuff, like what, what's your background? I know, grew up in Brockton. Like, kind of like take me from Brockton, your upbringing.
All right, so let me just start there, right?
Yep.
So originally from Brockton, right?
Yep.
Spent my first year at BU, and growing up in Brockton's a real interesting place. Like you came back here with Dennis, I'm sure, a couple of times.
Of course.
So academically, like I did well at Brockton High, and then when I went to BU, I just kind of like detracted from school, right? Like I had lost like all seriousness, right?
Mm.
And I was like, okay, I wanted kind of like a change of environment. So that's when I transferred to Morehouse, right? So I went to Morehouse. I majored in bio because I still was thinking I wanted to be like an anesthesiologist or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So went to Morehouse. Ended up being in college for 5 years because I spent 4 years there. Ended up doing really well, like almost top of the class. Like just got real focused or whatever, right?
Nice.
And then my senior year, I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like, I had applied, got accepted to med school, and that's when I made the decision I was going to move to Brazil for a little while. Like, at that point, I didn't know what I won a lot of scholarships, so I had a little bit of money saved. I didn't really know what the direction that I wanted to take. I knew I liked to build stuff, but I didn't really think I'd be a good physician because I didn't like the sight of blood. I didn't like really the hours, and like I liked the money, but like growing up, I just didn't know where there was like a place where I would fit. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So went to Brazil, got me a little beachfront spot for like $200 a month. Went broke, ended up moving back to Brockton. Right? Like had a good 6 or 8 month run.
So now, real quick, what were you doing? What were you doing in Brazil? Were you just straight up chilling, or were you
being young and dumb?
Okay.
Like, what do you do? You're dumb. You got a little bit of money.
Young and dumb in Brazil. All right, cool. So we'll just skip over that part then, right? So
yeah.
So you go to Brazil, you move back.
I come back to Brockton. I'm broke. I don't know what I want to do with my life. I finished like Phi Beta Kappa, top of the class, and I was dating a girl who was on her way to law school.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Yep.
So she says, you you were a bio major, you did really well, you don't know what, maybe you need some direction, think about being a patent attorney, right?
Oh, yeah.
So at this point, I'm working for my mom who used to run a detox and transitional care facility
Okay.
in Boston, and then I'm also working at like the Super 8, which is like our Bang Hotel or whatever, right? So I'm pretty much just trying to figure out life. I'm young.
Yeah.
So then I decided, okay, I'll take the LSAT. Ended up scoring really well on the LSAT the last possible time. So then I was like, all right, maybe I'm meant to go to law school.
Mm-hmm.
So then I go to law school, end up getting into Georgetown. I moved to D.C. law school. I go to law school and I hate it, right? I'm like, this sucks. But, right? But I'm not, my personality isn't the type where like once I jump into something, I give up. So now I gotta finish.
So what year did you know, like was it your, because Antonio, my brother, he went to law school. He was very similar where, I remember talking to him like after year one. And what you just said to me was almost like verbatim what he says, like, Keto, like, I can't stand this. But I'm here. I'm at Harvard Law. You're at Georgetown Law. I can't stop after 1 year. So what year did you know that, like, this is terrible?
I knew early on. But here goes the thing. After my 1L year, right? So now you got to talk about, at this point, I think I'm like maybe 23, 24, right? And after my 1L year, I got a job at the top patent firm in D.C., right? So you're talking about going to work and making like $8, $9 an hour to making $2,400 a week.
Nice.
Right? So then you're like, oh shit, like as an intern, right? So I stack all of that money. I end up working like part-time while I'm in law school my last 2 years, and they're paying us $50 an hour part-time. So like I'm doing 20 hours a week, and I think I'm balling at this point, right? I'm still young. I've just been working at the Super 8 motel and working for Mom Dukes. But now all of a sudden I'm flush with cash, but I also realize that this isn't the lifestyle for me. Right, because I think one of the early kind of enlightening points that I had was I knew I loved to travel, right? So I knew for me it was traveling was one aspect of what I wanted to do. I had 3 key aspects: traveling, giving back to the community, right? Because I think that's partially kind of what led me originally to consider medicine, and then third, I wanted to build something. I never cared about titles. I never cared about schools. I never cared about, who somebody's parents were. None of that ever mattered to me, right? Like, I respected people that went out and built shit, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, yo, win, lose, or draw, I want to be able to build something.
Nice.
Right? Like, so
really that was... Go ahead. I was just going to say, so really, it's going back to the... Am I on speaker?
I'm talking in the computer.
Got it. Oh, well, either way, now I hear it's just weird. But either way, really what I gained from this is...
and we can do the Skype on this way, too. Because if we aren't going to do video, Skype may be clear.
This is fine, man. I hear you perfectly. That's all I care. As long as I hear you, man, I don't care about again, what we see or not. I just heard my voice, and it was weird coming back. But regardless, so for you... how long were you a patent attorney for?
Now, here goes the interesting, I went to law school, right?
Yep.
I worked there my last 2 years of law school.
Okay.
Right? So at the same firm, and it's interesting because I make great money doing patent law, upper ones for that age, right? 170, 180,
You were making...
So it was never about the financial aspect. Mm-hmm. But what sucked the life out of me is I could easily look around the law firm and say, I know exactly where my life is going to be at 40, 50, 60, all the way moving forward. And when I looked at that, I said, is that the life that you want? Put money aside, right? Yep. You really may not be able to have the opportunity to travel like you want to travel. You may not be able to have the control of your schedule, and you won't be able to dictate the amount of time you spend with your kids. Because for me, I had a really engaged dad, right? So, my dad used to work from, 6 to 2. So when I used to come home from school, he was the one to kind of really invest all of that time into me so that, academically and everything ended up being okay. About, fatherhood, that was really kind of, a critical decision in terms of what I wanted to do when I had my kids. And I had already made the decision around the same time that I was going to wait in terms of having a family until I stabilized my, I guess, professional or financial base.
Mm-hmm.
So around that same time was kind of when I was having an awakening in terms of like, you know, how do you want your life to be and what do you want it to look like?
Okay. So what was that? So, you know, part of my, you know, the website that I'm building, the blog, a big aspect of it is, you know, a term that I like to use is called get on the box, right? And get on the box is really about you leaving your comfort zone, leaving what's familiar to you, and just, you know, really pushing your chips in, all in,
All
and
right, so
saying, I'm going to do this.
all right, so let me explain my get on the box moment, right? I'm at the firm, right? That year, now listen, that year we had gone from like 130 to 160. So I'm living at $700 a month rent with my boy in DC. I come up with an idea for a company named Zippy Jobs, right? Mm-hmm. So remember how they used to have quickie jobs at BU?
Yeah.
I decided to build that platform, but launch it in DC, and we went from 0 to 16 schools within a year.
Wow.
Right? Literally had got early stage VC funding, right? I had left my job. We had 5 employees. Wow. We had an operational company, office and everything, and I was in Washington Post, and I never thought I was going to have to work again in life, right? Oh. Then the market collapsed in 2009, right? So when the market collapsed, position where I had left, given I didn't see myself practicing long term, but I used to like the people that I was with, but I had already moved away from that, right? So I no longer saw myself as a lawyer. I had people that relied upon me, their livelihood, right? And we found out that there were going to be no more funding coming our way, and that I was going to have to shut down the business.
Wow.
Right? So for me, it was the biggest learning lesson, but it was also, you know, it was my biggest, I'd say professional failure, but I don't really, because what ended up happening is I was the last man standing, right? Because for me, I didn't have a B plan. I hated law. I never wanted to do it again. I didn't see myself going back. So I ran up all of my debt as high as it could go. You know, I literally lived in the basement of my boy's crib, right? Trying to figure, you know, how I could survive. And it was only at that point that one of my other boys in New York was like, yo, you just can't keep pushing it. Like, you got to know when to call in the chips, right? So at this point, I moved to New York. My boy let me stay on his couch for like 6 months, kind of just getting back to ground one. Because, you know, when you ain't got that nugget to fall back on, like, yo, your zero is zero, right?
Eric, there's a funny thing. Eric Thomas, you know, Eric Thomas, everyone knows Eric Thomas, the hip-hop preacher. He, his big term that he uses is no net. So, like, you had no net. you were, you know, going through this, like, all right, this is plan B. You're like, no, I'm going all in, and if it don't work, I'm gonna fall on my face. So, here goes, and I'm very prideful, right? Like, I'll tell you one thing is, I don't know if it's, but I have supreme belief in my own ability. I may not be a sports athlete or anything physical. I may not be able to do, but if it's hustle, it's hard work, and it's relying upon my brain, I believe I know I can compete with anybody out there. Nice. And that's just always a belief that I had, right? So, at this point, I call it going through the forced Jenny Craig, right? And what the forced Jenny Craig is when you ain't got no money to eat. So you purposely go to sleep early and you wake up late. Yeah, hold on. I'm like, this, you know, I'm like writing I'm taping this, I can always go back and look, but I'm also like just writing this stuff down. So I'm like writing frantically right now. You said no money to eat. So you go to bed early? Yeah. You said you go to bed early and
you wake up late.
And you wake up late. Yeah, Jason. That might be one of the funniest things I've ever heard in my life. I've never heard a broke person say, yeah, I'm on that Jenny Craig plan.
Yo, I call it the forced Jenny Craig.
Forced Jenny Craig plan.
You ain't got no option. You looking real hungry and you real hungry. Your pride ain't gonna let you say what it really is that you're going through, but that's right. Wow.
Yeah, no, that's no doubt. That's funny. Yeah, I'm dying. I wish. Oh, you will see this because I've been a dude. That's funny. All right, so let's get back on.
So I go from there, there, right? And then, the thing is, when I did law, I always did well, right? Like, whatever I would apply myself to, I was fortunate. I did well. So one of my old mentors was like, yo, Jay, you can't keep up with this. He's like, why don't you go back to law? You may not like law, but at least you'll be able to jump back financially, right?
Back, yeah. So kind of like go back to what you know.
Yeah, go and join another big law firm, another sweatshop or whatever, right? So I was like, fuck. So I joined. Oh, sorry. So
Please, come on, man. You know me. This ain't CNN, okay? You can swear. Keep it real, man. Keep it funky with them. Yeah, it's all good. You can swear. That's what the beep for.
So then I'm like, all right, cool. So I take a job at a big firm called Paul Hastings, right? Working in New York City. And Keto, when I tell you, like, after the first month, I realized that was the worst decision I ever made in my life. But you got to think, right? So it's the worst decision I made. They're working me like a mule. They aren't giving me any, like, at least my old law firm job, I liked the people. Here, I didn't like the people. I didn't like nothing about it, right? It was just bad all the way around.
Wow.
But, I didn't want to quit because I knew I needed unemployment. I knew I needed an income. Right, so like you gotta get fired when you gotta think strategically with these things, right?
Yeah, 100%.
But I'm making great money at this point, right? So I'm like, all right, how do I self-sabotage, right? And then after I self-sabotage, how do I then? What am I gonna do next in my life? Because I realized I can no longer work for anybody.
Just real quick,
and
Jason, because I don't want to cut you, but you said something that it caught my attention. So I can, and the listener can imagine or think what they believed self-sabotage is to mean. But in this case, what are you considering self-sabotage? What do you mean by that?
When you become such a bad employee that they don't have a choice but to lay you off.
Got it. So your goal was you were working to get fired. So why? You could collect unemployment?
Yes, and hopefully a severance package.
Got it. Dang, cold-blooded. I'm gonna do terrible. So you fire me. But hey, think about it though. I think what you're saying. I don't want to get. I love this letting you just roam freestyle. But like, because a lot of people, even going back to what you were saying earlier, get into these careers, and like you said, you're 27, 20, whatever your age. You are 20-something-year-old. Living in a great city, making high six figures, and you walked away from it, and then you fall flat on your face, right? And you gotta get crawled. You go back, scratching and claw, kicking and screaming, if you will, to this new job, and immediately this sucks, and now you're like, I want to get fired. So clearly you weren't motivated by the money. You're motivated.
No,
you know what I mean?
About the money for me.
It was never. It's still not about the money, and we'll get into that a little bit later with with B condoms. But like, so you're doing all this with money's never really the intention, and a lot of people though they get so caught up in they let their bank they are guided by their bank account, and they're not guided by their passion.
And I agree with that. And one thing I always believed was that once you find your lane, and your lane may be different. Like, let me tell you, my road, like, you're getting like a picture inside of it. It's been so different. There've been so many ups and downs, but now I look at it and I would not trade my life one iota. I wouldn't trade the road one iota, because everything, it was always about the end game.
Nice.
And I knew what I wanted my end game to be, and I knew I could never do it being on the road that I was, and I would rather be miserable, right, for 10 years to have 40, 50 years of happiness for the rest of my life than to have 50 years of just being semi-happy, semi-depressed.
Yep. That's really
and that was my mental trade-off.
All right, so now you go back to the law firm.
So I'm back at the law firm.
You're
in
miserable.
New York City, making great money.
You want self-sabotage.
Self-sabotage, right? So then I'm like, what do I really do, right? So at this point, I start looking around, and I see, and I'm looking at like nightlife. I'm looking at, and I'm like, wow, condoms is the last element that hasn't been broken up ethnically. So if you think about like the nightlife, and you got clothing, you've got entertainment, you've got liquor, you got music. All of them have had some level of minority representation, right? Condoms were that last element to me where I couldn't think of minority-owned company.
Mm.
And then when I looked it up, I saw that blacks and Latinos spent over $300 million a year in condoms.
Got it.
So I said, okay, if I can come in here and control 10% of that market, I'd have a $30 million company that I could then sell at a 6X. And make a couple of $100 million and be good for life. So that's where it started. All right?
Yeah.
So then I went on Google and I was like, well, okay, how do I find a condom manufacturer? So I went on Google and I found a list. But I'm still at the firm at this point, right?
Got it.
So part of my self-sabotage, they would give me an assignment and I told them when they would get it, right? And then we'd have to tear down competition and then I'd be like, yeah, all right, I'll see you when the date I told you, right? And then after 6 months, right, it didn't take long. After 6 months, they called me into the office and they said, this isn't working out. And I said, yeah, I agree. And they said, all right, we want to buy you out. We'll give you 6 months, full salary, full benefits.
Woo. Did you hold out for, you should have held out for like a year. 6 months paid?
I took 6 months, full salary, full benefits, paid, and with the option to get unemployment after as well.
Wow. That's a good deal. So I give you, because again, man, like, a lot of people, like, this goes back to your vision. And, when you're going through all that, like, you're miserable. And you've done it so far. I mean, you've probably done it multiple times, but just as far as what you share with me, I'm just going back to Georgetown. After year one, you're like, I don't like it, but you know what? I don't quit. And still, I got to see it through. And I'm able to, support myself, right? And then you use that experience so then you can create an opportunity. The money that the attorney, with the law provided you.
One thing, and I'll tell you, one thing that I've always done is live well below my means. Like, I'm not cheap, but I'm not, I don't wear jewelry. I don't got a flashy car. I don't pay high rent. I live on a fraction of what I've always made. So I've always had I've always had a runway when it came. Like when I made money, I made it in bunches, and I saved in bunches. But then it's like kind of like a cactus. You get times when it rains, and then you got times when there's nothing coming in.
Yeah. Very nice. But like, I just think that's a big part of your story is like you've had that mindset where, because again, a lot of people don't like it. Like you use the law to fuel your vision. That's what I come to. Because again, you're like, self-sabotage. Because you worked for how long at the law firm the second time? A good year, 6 months. You said 6 months.
Yeah, I was there 6 months.
So I mean, in the grand scheme of things, and when you think microly, that's a small period of time. But when you're waking up every single day and you ain't really feeling it, and you still went,
And I think, but in the background of that was I went knowing what it was like to have no money, so I didn't want to quit, right? Yep. And I knew I was going to need a runway because I had gone and I had known what a company is like, how long it takes to build, and so I knew that if I got the buyout package, and that's back when they were giving unemployment for 2 years, I was like, okay, that's 30 months. That I'll at least have some level of income.
So you had a real plan.
Huh?
Like you had a real plan. You plan, you know what I mean? Right? You have to have a plan.
My plan was to be on unemployment for 2 years and to be on, and to get 6 months of salary.
Yeah.
And to live below my means, so I scaled down, I got a roommate, and I was like, all right, I got 30 months to make this happen.
30 months. All right, so I cut you.
Without a penny coming in.
Without a
outside.
Yep.
Outside of that.
And I cut you off a little bit. So now I'll just kind of let you go back into the story of as far as we kind of set a timeline of 6 months there. You weren't feeling it, and now you knew. Okay, I gave myself a nice runway. I got 30 months essentially 6 months of pay, and then another 20 months of unemployment to make something happen. So walk me through now. You're doing the Google searches. Obviously, I'm assuming you didn't wait until your last unemployment check to run out to now pursue, your new business. So what were you doing? Yeah. So what were you doing? Walk me through that.
Once I Googled, I got my backpack, and that was kind of back when this was before American Gangster, but I went to Thailand, China, and Malaysia to find a connect. Well, I visited 15 different manufacturers in China, Thailand, and Malaysia to learn the game. and to see if I can negotiate a competitive cost.
Wow. And how long did you stay there for?
I was maybe about 2 months just traveling. It was just solo. Just me with nothing but like a printout in terms of where they were, and I was cold calling them and showing up.
So 15 different manufacturers in Thailand, China, and what was the third one? Malaysia? Wow.
Yeah.
So you go there, you're making connections, you know, kind of like your boy, what's his name? I don't even know his name in American Gangster. I know Denzel, but I forget what his name was, the character. But regardless, I can just picture you like going to, I know it wasn't, I'm thinking you like in a swampland or something.
and with some of the places, that's legitimately like what it's like. But I'm like, yo, you got everything. Here goes one other aspect of this, right? Like, I've had to teach myself everything. Right? Like, there's not a blueprint for anything that I'm doing. So part of my growth has been me being exposed to more and more information and then taking those nuggets and adapting it to my experience.
That's right. That's nice. So you go, all right, you're over there. You're there for 15, 15 manufacturers, 3 countries, 2 months. Now what?
I come back and I order my samples.
So you order samples. Okay.
I ship the samples to my apartment. I pick up my cell phone and I start cold calling organizations to see if I can get buys.
So, I'm in sales, so I know very much well, how that, you didn't call, 100 people and you got 80 people buying. You got a lot of people hanging up saying, oh, we're all set. We already got a contract with this group, blah, blah, blah.
And you're not talking about big sales. Like, you're talking about $200 sales, $50 sales, $20 sales.
And you had no sales experience, too. That's another thing, right? Because Zippy, I guess, but for the most part, you didn't have a ton of sales experience.
No.
Right? So
not at all.
So again,
like, literally, like you how do you craft your own script and then you try it out, and literally, like, I was just calling just to get meetings, and I get on the subway, I put on a suit, get on the subway, take the subway to the organization, show them my couple of little samples, and see if I could get a sale, because I didn't even have enough to order a real batch of product. Like, so
you would wait for them to order it,
sell the product, right, and then bring it in. Yep. And then here goes one of the things about, like, when I tell you, like, I had to teach myself everything. By the time I got the product in, I didn't understand the game about, like, customs brokers and moving containers. So I showed up at the port with a couple of my boys in a truck. They didn't tell me that you had to have, like, a customs broker and all of that.
Wow.
Like, brick by brick, I built this house, right? Learning at every step. And that first year, like, let me tell you this. The first year I worked 60 hours a week, 70, 80 hours a week, and the company as a whole only made $30,000.
Say that again. So 60 to 80 hours for $30K.
And the company brought in $30,000 at the end of the year.
Go from making $1.60. Shit, you were making more on unemployment.
But so when I talk about the experience, man, like, like where I'm at right now, when I look back, like, there was this road was so tough, right? Like, I started off with 3, and I'm the last man standing. And it's only because I adapted the model that, shit, we're probably going to do 20 million condoms this year.
Wow.
Right? Like,
we're going to sell 20 million?
Team. Huh?
Hold on. You can't just gloss over that real quick. You said what number now?
We're going to do 20 million condoms this year, and I'm a one-man team. 20
million condoms. You a one-man team? You don't have any employees?
None.
I was asking one of my questions. Do you have employees? No. No, that's great. Wow. This is, aside from this whole interview, like, that's, congratulations, man. That's awesome. 20 that's a lot of condoms. So I guess what I can do then is,
but
go
let
ahead.
me tell you. Let me
keep going. Yeah, go.
Right?
Keep going. Yeah, absolutely. Don't let me interrupt.
Because the second part of this was during the first couple of years, and this is one of the big things I think about a lot of us is since we don't know the back end to a lot of businesses, we only see what we see. So when I only ordered like 3 packs and 10 packs because that's what I saw in the retail, not realizing you're not going to get carried in retail, right? So I had all these condoms that I couldn't do nothing with. And then you're pushing retail because the margins are so great, but you got to spending marketing. So we're going our first year spending all of the money that we make in marketing, not realizing that like unless you got real bank, you leave that category alone, right? Yeah. And you wait to go at that. So that and we're managing our own warehouse, right? So at this point, I got like those like little summer storage facilities.
Yeah.
I'm renting one of those, and that's where we're holding all of the product. And whenever we get an order, I go down there and I wait 3 hours for FedEx to show up. Right, just me sitting inside a storage unit.
Wow.
And then FedEx comes, I unload the product, and then FedEx leaves. So there's no efficiency built into any of that. Because no one ever told us about third-party logistics companies. Yeah. And never told me about Mail Innovations and all of these others that you can streamline and no one's gonna tell you.
No one is.
Like somebody like me that's like, yo, this can be done, and there's a model to it once you figure it out. Now I got to figure it out. I'm looking at building like a minor CPG as a one-man operation.
Yeah. Because I'm saying you're not doing that now. You ain't sitting at no facility now anymore doing that, right?
Man, let me tell you this. I make money wherever I got Wi-Fi. Right now I'm in Brockton.
Hold up.
I'll be in Brockton for the month. I'll be in New York right after here. And we're still shipping out hundreds of thousands, millions of condoms each month.
Hold on, man. I just see you don't even know, like, you just dropping like nuggets. Like, I make money wherever there. You need to get that. Like, you talking about you used to be a patent attorney. You need to get that. Shit. I make money wherever there is Wi-Fi. Dude. Okay. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but dude, that's a good one, man. That's a good one. I love it.
So now, like through this experience, right, Keto? Now, let me tell you how the model works, right?
Well, you don't gotta give away your trade secrets now, man. You don't gotta give,
No, I don't worry about it because trust, like I'm confident in this is my lane, and I would rather share it so people can do it another lane.
Okay.
Because there's enough money to go around.
That's love right there. Okay.
I sell in the government, right?
Sell in the government. Yeah, so first of all, hold on. Jason, because listen, man, I did all this research, right? This is just a side note. I did all this research, ask, questions to ask. I wrote up 15, 20 questions. I think I may have asked one. But it's all good. So, but a big part of, hold on, we got to do a quick pause. Melly's coming to say goodnight. Come on. You can't see him, though. He's not, the screen's not. Have kisses?
Oh, I can see her. She's cute.
Oh, you can see her?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't see you. Say hi. He's there. You can't. She's looking at the camera, but you can't see him, honey. But he's helping Dad out. He has a great story. We'll listen to it.
And I got a bad laptop.
Good night, man. Good night. But what were we saying?
We're talking about your questions.
Oh yeah, so I'm not getting the question. That's fine. But one of my questions is, because just in the whole, part of our back and forth text, and you would give me some nuggets too. One of the questions I did have was about, built around pivoting. So you obviously were starting off, going individual routes or going right to, nonprofits, retail, that type of stuff. But now you're saying you do a lot of government work. So, how did you pivot to government work?
Right now, whether people want to be kind of honest or not about it, I realized that we didn't have the money for marketing to compete, right? And then I also realized that race is a real issue, and that's just really being honest. So, when I look at businesses as a black man and all of my accounts, I can trace back to somebody of African American heritage.
Wow.
And when I looked at where I had put a lot of time and energy and not been able to convert, it was people outside the culture.
Wow.
And then, that's literally, and then second to there, when I looked at where would I have my best opportunity to compete. I don't want an edge. I don't want anything. I just want my opportunity to be able to compete. Yeah. It's government, and then it's online. And online because you can be invisible and no one knows who you are. And it's government because they actually have rules built in around some level of representation of of non-mainstream parties.
So are you a because I know a little bit. Well, in New York, in the state of New York, we have a minority.
I'm certified. Yep.
So you're
in
an
New York,
NW.
we're getting ready to bring them on as a big account.
Ooh, nice. Yeah, because we have a minor MBE.
Yep, MBE.
Yeah. So that's. But again, so this goes back to now the culture. You know, people who were successful, right? African Americans would just say it.
Did not pass the knowledge down.
Well, they didn't pass the knowledge down, but I'm thinking from a standpoint, you're saying that, you know, the accounts that you did sign up is my point. You were able to secure accounts primarily, you had to only sell to African Americans, it seems like, because...
initially, I didn't know that, right? So initially, I sold it everybody.
To everybody, right? But I'm saying your success only really truly came, though, when you were selling, you know, B2B, black to black.
Let's just black people. Black people were the only ones to give me a shot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
and then let me tell you how deep it goes, right? The first state account that I got was the state of Georgia. And without me, and what happened was when I first launched my company, it was like the first black-owned condom company, right? Morehouse invited me down to speak. Morehouse then said, yo, we don't buy our own condoms, we buy them from the state of Georgia. I can't buy you, but we will get the state of Georgia to buy you for us.
Ooh. So Morehouse.
Okay.
Morehouse,
there'd be no B condoms without Morehouse.
No B condoms. Which is HBCU, by the way.
Yeah.
I know.
All black holes.
I know that, but just again, I'm trying to enlighten some people. Hold on, my bad. Wait, Molly wants to come and hang out. We multitasking, man. We multitasking. It's all good. Rachel, it's all right. So anyway, just getting focused. Man, I'm trying to do something here. But as far as Morehouse goes to Georgia and says basically
Georgia came on because of Morehouse told them. And that wasn't a big buy, right? That buy was like, $1,000, but we got the name.
Of course.
And then what happened was they told me earlier on, Jason, if you can show that your condoms are as good and that you're willing to supply and we don't have any issues, we will begin to scale your business up.
Wow.
And if there are other states that don't believe what you're doing, have them call me.
Ooh. And this is Georgia saying this or Morehouse saying this?
Georgia.
Georgia now.
And it's a black woman at Georgia. Right?
Black
so you talk about kind of like...
Wow, man. So that's great. So your school, right? First of all, they support you not only financially, but they're basically using their clout to go to Georgia, state of Georgia, and say, yo, we got one of ours, and you need to help us out. And then not only that, once you go to Georgia, and now you got a sister reaching out to you and saying, hey, if you prove, now this is the show and prove part. We got you in, right? Yeah. A lot of people get opportunities, though, right? A lot of us get opportunities through different various channels. I think you networked your way to that opportunity. It wasn't handed to you. You worked hard to get there. And then what happens is when they get the opportunity, they're not prepared for it, right? So you clearly were prepared for it, because now what happens now when she says, once you prove that we'll go to bat for you, and we'll recommend you to other states.
Yeah.
So what happens next? Okay, you got Morehouse, you got state of Georgia, you got some momentum.
At this point, I'm still thinking retail, right?
Oh, jeez. Okay.
So at this point, I'm like, I need to get credibility, right? So Georgia was a state credibility. Then I go to Whole Foods and I get accepted in this program, right? Mm-hmm. And through the program, they let you into Whole Foods.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So then I get in, and no one's buying condoms at Whole Foods, but what I am able to say is we got Whole Foods as a client. Right? So then, you
did sell though in Whole Foods. Just no one really bought them, but you just name.
No, but we were carried in every Whole Foods in the Northeast.
Okay.
And then, so what happened at this point? Because you got to think, when the level of know you want to call it shock or like just people like there was such a high bar for me to get past in terms of credibility.
Mm-hmm.
Like not from like at this point I'm still fairly young. Like I'm trying to compete against the big boys. I don't got the money. I don't got the capital. I don't got the team. We're struggling, so we don't got heavy sales. We don't got a lot of product. But I'm in the game of fighting as best a fight as I know how.
Yeah.
So at this point, we struggle, and we're in Whole Foods, but we're not getting turned. And then we get picked up by a distributor who puts us into Kmart, Walmart, and some of the others, right?
Yep.
Drugstore.com and some of those.
Wow.
And then we still don't have marketing money, so we end up getting booted out. Like that's the thing about getting in and not being able to turn.
Wow. Booted out by all those retailers. You got booted out.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. I'm asking because I wanna. Again, it's my note taking, and that's all I'm saying. I'm just confirming. So yeah. You get in the Whole Foods, you get in the Kmart, you get in the Walmart, drugstore. I mean, on paper, from those, someone goes to your website. Someone goes to your website, right? Someone goes to your website. Wow, they all over. I found you on Facebook. Like, yo, Jason doing big things, and it's like, really, like, nah, son. It's kind of struggling.
Yeah, very much struggling.
Wow.
And that's the thing between like. When you talk about business, what appearances and then what the real back end is. And you don't really know, like that's why I say non-sexy pays. Leave sexiness alone.
Okay.
Anything leave it alone. Stay far away. If you want to be rich, you go to the boring industries and you take boring clients and they pay very, very well and you have no stress in your life.
Leave sexy alone. Go boring.
Yes, and be rich. Go boring and be rich.
Another Jasonism. Go boring and be rich. Yo, dude, I'm telling you, I'm gonna make some T-shirts with your sayings on them. You think I'm joking too? But go boring and be rich. But then hold on. So this, Tom, I know where you're going with this, and I love it because I've been reading a lot and following different. And a big part of what I've recently heard a lot of groups say, or really successful people is, and you've kind of touched on it about staying in your lane, but you're clearly, I think you're starting to show that the writing's on the wall. Retail is not for you, right? Not for condoms, and it's just like, and I know right now, this from our previous conversation, is where you decide to take the company. What now is your niche, if you will? Like, where do you really spend? What's your boring and where do you spend the majority of your time now selling into?
So let me go before here. So at this point, we're down to 2 partners because one of them had already quit. Because you got to think when we launch, everybody thinks get rich quick. It's all going to be great, right?
When you say partners, you mean guys that you went in on this with?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you started with 3, now you down to you.
Yeah. Last man standing, right? And what happened at this point is we had a discussion because, we were moving backwards. Sales were declining, not going forward, right? And we know what being broke was like. So.
If this goes under, you don't got unemployment as a net. Because you... Right?
And you can see I'm a little crazy, so I don't mind being broke because I didn't have another option. Damn. Like, wherever this road was going to take me, it was going to be my lane, and I accepted that as whatever my future was going to be.
Wow.
So at this point, I talked to my business partner, and I'm like, yo, I'm not spending another dime in marketing. Okay. We're going to sell in the government, and if it takes us 2 years for me to close them accounts, that's what I'm going to do. And I trust that I can turn around this business with government. And he was like, I don't know if that's the right way.
He didn't share your vision.
No.
So then what did so then he leaves.
Bought him out, yeah.
You bought him out. So you ain't making no money and you said you gotta buy him out.
A little bit of money. Huh?
So you broke and you gotta buy somebody out.
Yeah. Like talk about doubling and tripling down on a sinking ship. That was me.